This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and the following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Here's the snap for the play fake. Back to throw, Bradford. Pressured by Goldman. Throwing open inside the 20 to the 15 to the 10 to the 5 into the end zone for the touchdown. Ricky seals Jones. A 34-yard strike wide open. Tom will have to analyze what happened there in the secondary. The snap and placement. The kick up by Cody Parkey here in Glendale. The kick is no good. Missing from 46. The Bears come up empty on their opening drive. Snap, Trubisky. Late pressure coming from Jones. Ball comes out. Trubisky lost the ball inside the 25-yard line. Snap is back. Bradford ready to throw with time. Lofts it into the right side. It is caught by Johnson. Backing up. He's in for the touchdown. Pitch and catch. One play after the turnover. 21 yards. Bradford to Johnson. Cardinals up 13-0. Here's the snap. The placement made. Parkey's boot is up. It is through, and the Bears get 3 out of a 11-play, 71-yard drive. The 20-yard field goal by Parkey. It is 14-3 Arizona with 1:54 to go in half. Going deep down the middle, and it's intercepted. Playing center field. Eddie Jackson on the swipe. No effort at all made by the receiver going deep on the play. And Eddie Jackson takes the ball away. Snap, takes, turns, giving. Howard reaching for the goal line. He punches it in. Touchdown! Touchdown Bears! They get closer to the Cardinals. It is 14-9 with 6:16 to go in the third. Patrick Scales on the ball, sends it back, put down by O'Donnell. The right leg of Parkey whips into it, and the kick is good from 41. A one-point game in Arizona, 14-13. Cardinals lead with 44 seconds to go here in the third. Snap back, Bradford looking left. Bradford in a tight pocket, stumbles and leaves. Ball is knocked out of there by Mack, recovered by the Bears. They take it away again here in Arizona. Khalil Mack at the center of it. Glendale snap, placement made, kick by Parkey. Pick is good for the lead here in the fourth quarter. Good from 43 with 4:31 left to play. The Bears have their first lead, 16-14 over the Cardinals.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Bears on Tap. This is where we celebrate the first place Chicago Bears. This is where we give you the truth. That offense was ugly, but that's not going to stop us from celebrating this Bears win on the road against a winless team that fought hard to get their first victory, but were stopped by a Chicago Bears team that dug deep to pull out the win when it looked like all was lost. My name is Aldo Gandia, and with me is Bears Barroom Scouting Director Danny Shimon, who is calling in from Arizona, where he witnessed the game firsthand. Danny, how are you?
Good, I'm doing great. Sounds good to hear, right? First place Chicago Bears.
You know, it sounds better than good. It sounds surreal. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like it's real to me. It feels, because let's face it, while this defense definitely looks championship caliber, this offense looks far from being championship caliber. And so the fact that we're 2-1 and the rest of the division is looking up at us is a surreal feeling. But hey, cheers! I'm celebrating.
Your cheers when the Bears win are much more vibrant and exciting than they are when they lose. So, but the one thing, going back to, remember our conversations in the offseason, although, as I said, that this offense is going to struggle to gel initially. There are a lot of moving parts, not a new pieces, and in order for the Bears to be successful starting off the season, their defense would have to carry them. And so far, that's what their defense has been doing, is carrying them. This offense is only averaging about 16, 17 points a game. And the defense is coming up time and time again with takeovers, big plays when needed. And today was a prime example of it again.
Definitely a prime example. Before we start kind of digging into the particulars of the game, I want to find out from you about your experience. You were there at the stadium. What's the stadium like? What was the vibe like with so many Chicago Bears fans there? Just kind of give us a take on your experience today.
Yeah, the stadium is a beautiful state-of-the-art stadium. No problems there. I expected it to be a heavy Chicago crowd, and it was. I mean, certainly you saw Bears fans all over the place. But I got to give props to the Cardinals fans. I mean, they brought it. That first quarter, that first half, when the Cardinals got off to that early lead, that place was rocking. The Cardinals fans were giving it to the Bears fans, believe it or not. Some pushing and shoving was witnessed here by myself. I wasn't involved. I was just a bipartisan witness here. But Cardinals fans, they brought it, man. They were loud. They were vibrant. I think some of that crowd noise may have led to some of the indecision and lack of success, if you will, on the Bears' offensive part there. But you know what? That second half, when the Bears got back into it again, Chicago came back stronger, and you saw the Bears' defensive players encouraging the Bears fans to make the noise. You see this stuff at home games, right? But the Bears were actually waving and getting the fans up and getting them to cheer and roar in that fourth quarter when they were going after and attacking the rookie quarterback. So definitely it was a good back and forth. I tip my hat to the Cardinals fans. They brought it, but at the end of the game, definitely the Bears fans outnumbered and out-cheered the Cardinal fans.
Since we're in a celebratory mood, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but I think you know what I mean. Since we're in a celebratory mood.
Celebratory, that sounds better.
Thank you. Let's talk about the defense first, and then we'll dig in the second half of the show. We'll dig into what the offense was all about. This defense today did not start very well.
No, it did not. That start was a rough one. And I'm thinking, what is going on today with the NFC North? I mean, Minnesota was getting crushed by Buffalo at the time. The Packers were getting beaten by the Redskins. I'm like, what is going on here? And the Bears came out flat defensively. That first touchdown to the tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, that was a blown coverage. I haven't had a chance to watch the tape yet, so I'm not sure if a linebacker was supposed to carry him on that route, but wide open, no one around him for an easy touchdown. And on the David Johnson touchdown, again, Trevathan had him out of the backfield. Looked like he was going to run with him and carry him on that corner route, but then just let him go, or actually got turned around, if you will. And by the time he got turned around, Johnson got that over the top leverage on him, and he was wide open for an easy touchdown. So, right out the gates, 14-0, and you're thinking, oh boy, is this NFC North defensive futility going to continue here with the Bears? But you know what? They put on their big boy pants, and that was it. The Cardinals really didn't do much in terms of attacking or threatening to score again on the Bears, and when they did, the Bears just took the ball away from them. So,
Matt Nagy in the press conference did spend a lot of time talking about the defense and how effective they were and how special they were. He used that word, and I was really happy to hear that, because given that he is an offensive coach, so much of the time is spent talking about the offense and talking about Trubisky and so forth, and it almost seems like at times he ignores the defense, and I know he's not purposely doing that. I know he's just answering questions from the media and so forth, but he definitely went out of his way to praise the defense today. Here's a clip of one of the things he said about the defense.
With those two. Again, our defense, 14 points early that Arizona scored, and then just looking at some numbers here, three interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 1 that was recovered, had another interception, pick 6 called back on an offsides, 53 yards rushing, and then the last 4 drives to go with 2 interceptions, a fumble, and another interception for those last 4 possessions, other than the end of the game, is rare. That is not. That's special company right there. Bilal had a big 3rd and 2. Great play by him. Huge play in that case. And then Sheriff McManus, what a game for him to come on in and have an interception, have a tackle for loss, have a sack. And then one of the most important ones was that great tackle he made on special teams. So as you can tell, there's a lot to go around, and our players are just really ecstatic that we won. They're going to enjoy it tonight and get ready for next week.
Matt, what's the difference?
Your guy, Danny, Bilal Nichols really had an outstanding play, didn't he?
Made that And then that was one of my fears was this guy was going to be put on the bench after the preseason. And luckily, whoever, if it's Vic Fangio, if it's the defensive line coach, whoever it is saying, hey, get this guy in. Let's get this guy in the rotation. Let's get this guy to just play. And you saw him today make at least 2 or 3 plays that I remember off the top of my head, and then the one in the fourth quarter where he stops the running back for a loss. So this kid is going to only get better. He's a really good athlete. He's got tremendous size, and he's still raw. When he gets fully developed, fully coached, look out, guys. This is going to be I think one of Ryan Pace's better later round draft picks. But touching on what Nagy just said, the defense. I mean, they came besides shutting Arizona off for the final 3 quarters. I mean, they had 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 9 quarterback hits. So again, Khalil Mack led the way with two sacks, a tackle for loss, and 3 hits. But then you had Akeem Hicks with 3 quarterback hits. He had a sack, and you had other guys continuing to create pressure. Sherrick McManus comes in like he mentioned with a big pick once Mukamura left the game with a hamstring injury. Bryce Callahan again had a strong game. Again, I go back and watch the entire game, but I mean, every time I looked up, he was making a play. He had the interception. He had a couple good run fits in terms of coming up and tackling the running back and making some open field tackles. So again, young guys getting better. And again, this is going to be the Bears formula until this offense gets their act together and starts clicking. But when that does happen, this is going to be a very, very good team and a very dangerous team for opponents that they see coming down later on in the season.
Now, this defense, they did have a good day today, but I'll be totally honest here. I did expect them to be a little bit more dominating at the line of scrimmage, given all of the stories that I had heard and some of the tape that I saw about this Arizona Cardinals offensive line. They were missing their right tackle. They had been giving up tons of sacks this year. They were having trouble getting David Johnson some holes, and of course they did stop the running game, but I was just hoping to see Bradford go down more often and so forth. Having said that, when you look at the individual performance of players like Akeem Hicks and Bilal Nichols and so forth, it's really hard to complain.
Right. I mean, I think it was a combination of the Bears came out a little bit flat in the beginning, I think, defensively. Like I said, the miscommunication on the first touchdown looked like, someone missed the defensive coverage there, blown coverage, if you will. And I think, we can't forget, the Cardinals, are winless, but, they have some first-round picks along that offensive line. They have David Johnson, who, 2 years ago was an all-pro running back, so they have some talent on offense. So, to completely shut them down might be, for the entire game might be a little bit unexpected, but after that rough start, like I said, they hunkered back down and they were able to pretty much dominate, and then eventually got Bradford benched, and they decided to go with a rookie quarterback, which Steve Wilkes, he's a rookie head coach, but he made some decisions that kind of had me scratching my head if I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan. You're going to put in a rookie quarterback who has not played at all against a defense that's with a lead with less than 5 minutes left to go in the game, and all they're going to do is pin their ears back and go after your rookie quarterback. That was a bit of a head scratcher. He had a couple of timeouts that he used towards the end of that first half. They gave the Bears some time if they wanted to, if they chose to attack downfield, which they didn't, unfortunately. That's another thing that we'll touch on later on. But there's some weird stuff going on with the Arizona Cardinals rookie head coach. But like I said earlier, we'll take it. It's a win's a win, and the Bears are in first place.
Now, you mentioned the team coming out flat. Eddie Jackson, who had a key interception in this game, was interviewed immediately after the game by ChicagoBears.com reporter Larry Mayer. Let's listen to a little bit about that. Eddie talks about the team coming out flat. Here it is.
Larry Mayer here with Eddie Jackson after a big Bears win. 4 straight takeaways by the defense. How impressive was that performance?
Man, it was great, man. Like I said, we still got some things we need to go in there and work on. We didn't come out to our satisfaction the first half, and we came out second half and corrected all the errors, and we was able to get the win, but we still got little things we need to work on, but it was fun.
You guys were completely dominant after the first 2 touchdowns. What changed after that? I know one of them came after a turnover deep in your own territory, but what changed for the defense?
Just our mindset. We came out flat, and we felt that. Khalil, we gathered up on the sideline before we went out there the third drive, and we said we need to change. We need to start. We start right here. We needed that adversity to show us where we really was at, and we came out here and we played a good game.
You started it off with your interception. How much do you guys feed off each other, getting 4 straight takeaways?
Man, we feed off that a lot, man. Prince on the sideline said they come in bunches, so we knew that was going to happen. We just had to stay on top of our keys, and we were able to make great plays. Coach put us in the right calls, and we was able to make those plays.
Well, thanks a lot. Congrats.
That was I love those interviews that happen immediately after the game, because the players are just so super psyched and so forth. And that interception by Eddie Jackson was a key to this game, because at that point of the football game, it just seemed like nothing was going right. And while the defense wasn't getting beat tremendously, that did start a string of series for the defense where they just started to dominate.
Right. That was a turnover that sparked, if you will, the offense a little bit to say, all right, come on, their defense is out here making plays. They had got a couple of 3-and-outs prior to that, and then the interception really kind of set the tone there in terms of starting the whole turnover chain for the Bears there. Now, one thing in that clip that Eddie did mention, and something that we did notice watching live in the stadium, is Eddie Jackson is the leader of that secondary, because you see him back there talking to everybody, getting everybody lined up. And B, Khalil Mack gathered everybody on the sideline and said, guys, let's get our heads out of our asses. Let's get to work here. This guy, not only is he dominating on the field, but he's taking a leadership role, a commanding leadership role off the field, and these guys are following his lead. So, and I'm telling you, you watching him on TV is one thing. Watching Mack live in person, the man gets held on every single play. I mean, every single play, if you look at him, this guy is getting held, whether it's where he's studying the edge and the lineman loses leverage and he's got a neck hold around him, or they're grabbing his jersey from behind. I mean, if the referees want, they could call a holding penalty on the offensive lineman going against Khalil Mack almost every single play.
I totally agree with you. I would say that on 90% of the pass plays, I think Khalil Mack was being held, and probably on 10, 20% of the running plays. It just was happening over and over and over again. Yeah. And I'm surprised, and maybe you saw this. I didn't on TV. You were there. I'm surprised that the coaches or Mack didn't go over to the officials and say, hey!
Well, he did. After one of the plays, I believe there was a timeout after that, and he went to you saw him talking to the officials, like, hey, man, you see him gesturing to his shoulder pads and saying, hey, basically they're holding me, and you're not calling it. So, I mean, if I'm a referee, like, you're going to call a penalty in every single, I think, this is me thinking what they're thinking, like, I can't call a penalty every single play, but I mean, literally every single play, you watch him, you just concentrate on him, whether it's a running play, whether it's a passing play or whatnot, the man is getting held one way or the other.
I know that you still have yet to study the All-22 and go through the typical process of what you do to offer that very insightful analysis. But I got to ask you about Tolliver, the cornerback. Stacy in the chat room, and I agree that Tolliver to me doesn't seem like he's NFL ready yet. He's a good practice squad guy to develop, but do you agree with me that this guy is just not NFL primetime ready?
He might not be NFL primetime ready, but I mean, basically what they did with him, what I noticed was they were playing a lot of off coverage with him because they were scared he was going to get beat on any sort of slug and go slants or anything like that. So they had him off man a lot, and then towards the end when they knew they were like in short yardage, they kind of had him come up and jam and press the receivers. But he's a rookie. He's a guy that really, I think the Bears just kept him because they don't want to lose him, to be honest with you. Because if they put him on waivers, they felt some other team might pluck him. Now he's a good athlete. He's got the length. The Bears like in their cornerbacks, and he's a kid that's developing. So to expect him to come out there and be a shutdown corner, I mean, this kid did go undrafted for a reason. Now he shows traits and he shows some talent, but he's gonna have to be coached up. So it was just a situation where he was thrown out there, and kind of similar to Rosen, he was just thrown out there in the fire and said, all right, here, we need you to now step up and make some plays. Now. He got beat a couple times, but there were a couple times where he did a nice job in closing in on the ball. Didn't really get his hand on the ball, but created some footsteps where the receiver was able to hear him and interfered with him making the catch. So I don't expect him to be a starter, from day one. I didn't expect him to be a starter from day one. So he's just going to be a good guy on special teams and as a backup, until he fully develops into a cornerback, a NFL caliber cornerback.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. If Mukamara cannot go and if Marcus Cooper cannot go, then are they going to put Tolliver at the slot corner and move Bryce Callahan out? And Callahan has been playing well. But
I think the Bears are working out Sterling Moore this week, I heard.
Oh, really?
He's a corner. He's been in the league for a couple of years, known mainly for like nickel defense and special teams. But so I don't know if they're going to probably bring this is before today's game. I heard that they're going to bring in Sterling Moore for a workout this week. So they might probably look at more corners, with depending on the severity of Mukamara's injury. If he's going to miss, a significant time, if Marcus Cooper might be out for a while as well. So I would look to hear who the Bears will be bringing in for trials this week.
I got to tell you that at the end of the game, I expected the Bears to win, but I got to tell you, I was near Heart Attack City.
Oh, yeah, we were nervous. All the Bears fans were nervous.
I bet you guys were. I mean, I could feel the tension throughout Bear Nation. And then in that final play of the game, I was frankly shocked that Vic Fangio sent that blitz in.
Yep.
And this is what Matt Nagy said about that blitz, and then I want to hear your thoughts about it.
For our defense to play the way they played, to allow him to just sit back there for 7-8 seconds and just pat the ball and just chuck a Hail Mary up, and you never know what can happen in those situations. So just a wonderful job by by the coaching staff on defense of putting those guys and practicing those type of situations, and it came to fruition and it worked, and you can't let the guys go downfield, and that's a huge play by them yet again. And so we're certainly going to enjoy it. The guys are pumped up after the game, and
That's pretty tremendous. And is this, you think, a statement by Vic Fangio that I'm going to blitz more this year than I ever have this season? I'm not going to let you beat me. What are your thoughts?
That's interesting because, Fangio is not a guy who loves to blitz a lot.
Right.
He likes to just use his front four to create the pressure. And you figured this year with Khalil Mack and an improved Leonard Floyd that he'd be less blitzing. But so far, the first 3 games, I think we've seen more blitzes than I've expected. I don't know about everybody else, but I mean, I didn't expect him to blitz them many times. Now, as far as today's game and that last play, I think that was a combination of, hey, you know what, there's a rookie out there. These guys probably don't expect me to blitz, but you know what, it's a rookie. Let's see what he's got. Let's go ahead and bring pressure and see what happens. And it worked in the Bears' favor. So, Rosen really had no chance to get the ball off.
Well, is it time to talk about the offense? Do we really have to talk about the offense?
It was painful. That offense was painful. I think at one point someone had said, watching Bradford versus Trubisky is not pretty. But again, I'll let you steer the conversation because I have too much to say and I don't want to just go off on a tangent here again. But.
I love your tangents. I'll tell you this. I would say it was late in the second quarter, reading some of the comments from Barflies and from other Bears fans on Twitter talking about Trubisky. I mean, they have thrown in the towel on the kid. And, and I was feeling really bad about what I was seeing too. But I was thinking to myself, you know what? While everybody else is jumping off the Trubisky bandwagon, I'm going to stay on, and I'm at least going to be a true blue fan, and I'm going to root this guy on. So on my Twitter feed, I'm saying, "Come on, Mitch, you can do it." I'm coaching him up, not your real coaching, but just being a fan and hoping that he turned it around. And to a certain extent, he did. He did exactly. So talk about that, and then I've got some sound from Matt Nagy saying the same thing, that he's proud of how his young quarterback came through after all that adversity.
Well, the one thing about Trubisky, and all Bears fans and you too, Aldo, is don't give up on him yet. Now, again, I've said it before, I've said it again. I just don't like the way he operates from the pocket currently at this moment. His pocket awareness, his mental processing, ability to see the entire field, go through progressions is lacking right now from the pocket. Now, it could be because of the offense. It could be because of his inexperience in terms of being an NFL quarterback and also the lack of starts in college. But I really think this offense is so it's big in volume that I think he's just thinking too much. And there are times, watching it in the stadium, you see guys come open, right? You can see routes developing, patterns, or receivers running away from coverage and getting open. It's just a lack of him anticipating this, a lack of him seeing this pre-snap, adjusting to seeing, pre-snap. You got to see what kind of leverage the cornerbacks are playing. You know what kind of play you going on, and you know what play you've called. So you can see how you can attack the defense, where the defense is vulnerable, and he doesn't see it. And when he does see it, he sees it a tad second or half a second too late, which in the NFL is a lifetime, and that gives defensive backs opportunities to go ahead and jump the ball. This is later on in the third quarter, and I don't want to jump ahead here, but there was a prime example of this play where Allen Robinson is wide open in the middle of the field. Okay, Trubisky starts rolling to his right, and he sees him a split second too late, does a cardinal sin of throwing it back across his body, back towards the middle of the field, and then, of course, now Trey Boston, jumps the route and should have had an interception, but he just knocks the ball out. Mm-hmm. And that would have been a dagger because they were actually in, obviously scoring range. So that would have been a huge turnover. But stuff like that and you can see, guys like Allen Robinson, I mentioned, Tariq Cohen, you see Taylor Gabriel, these guys come open, but he just doesn't see him right away. And I think it's basically he looks at his first option. If his first option is not there, it takes time for him to process to the second option. Again, is it lack of experience? Is it just lack or just not being too familiar with this offense yet? And he's still just thinking too much. The coaching staff and everyone else seems to think that it's going to take time and develop. And I do agree with that. But he just needs to settle down, do the minimum. Don't lose the game. We mentioned he looked horrible at times, looked flustered, put his eyes down, and first read wasn't there. He was looking to get out of the pocket or roll out. But he did, to his credit, he led the Bears on 4 scoring drives that consisted of 11 plays, 9 plays, 7 plays, and 13 plays. Now, some of those drives were extended due to Cardinals penalties, but still, he had multiple play drives taking up, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, and so on and so forth, giving the defense some time to rest and recoup on the sidelines, while the offense is out there doing some, moving the ball. So let's. I have the same concerns that I'm sure you and all Bears fans have, but let's also give him some time. He is a young kid, and I'm not saying to just say, all right, he's a young kid and just put up with it. He's going to have to stop making these mistakes. Now, one good thing about Tariq Cohen said after the game was Mitch usually doesn't make the same mistake twice in the game. So, I've seen him make a couple mistakes twice in the game, but I'm not going to challenge Tariq Cohen on that. But let's just hope he learns from these mistakes. He learns from these growing pains and continues to develop into a NFL caliber starting quarterback, I guess, if you will. But again, the encouraging thing was he led those 4 scoring drives that consisted of, multiple plays, 10, 9, 8, 7 plays, took up some time and was able to, give the defense some time to recoup. Just don't make the bonehead turnovers. You're giving the ball away in the red zone. You're taking points off. Like that sack, that first quarter, the Bears were, I believe, at the 18-yard line or 13-yard line. He takes a 15-yard loss on a sack. Yep. Just get rid of the ball. Throw the ball away. You don't see it. Throw the ball away. We'll get get a field goal out of it, and that's it. But what happens? He takes a 15-yard sack, okay, and then Parkey misses the field goal. So stuff like that you just can't have. Especially if you have a defense that you're going to be calling upon to carry you for the early part of the season. This is where he has to improve on, and then eventually once he gets more familiar and more comfortable in the offense, and then build from there. But he has some really great throws. He had that one 39-yarder down the right sideline to Allen Robinson, to hit him in stride. Excellent. Let him nicely right in his hands. I guess his best throw was I believe it was an 18-yard completion. He was in the pocket. He was getting offset pressure from both sides. He actually stepped up in the pocket, hitched, and threw a strike to Trey Burton. I believe it was a 14 or 18-yard gain, and then getting a first down over to the right sideline. So I think that was his best throw of the game. Even taking into consideration the 39-yarder to Allen Robinson, because he was able to avoid pressure, step up in the pocket, maintain his composure, follow through, and throw a strike to Trey Burton. So he shows you those glimpses. You see you see the talent in there. And I was just trying to get it more consistent, or at least in a more permanent basis, so where we can continue to put up points, whether it's hopefully touchdowns, but even if it's field goals, and continue to give the defense some time to recoup and rest on the sidelines.
There are a number of people in the chat room who are just worried about Mitch Trubisky. They're just not seeing the improvement. But I think that you're making a really good point, and I hope they're listening to it, which is there are glimpses of his progression, and it is dirty and it is ugly. And those dirty and ugly blemishes, and blemishes is too kind of a word, are disguising the fact that he does have some good moments, some good series, some good completions, some good passes. And so let's listen to Matt Nagy talk about his quarterback. This is a little long, but I think it's definitely worth listening to.
So with Mitch, it's again, for us, there's times, there's plays where he played really well. He made some great plays, good throws. Loved to throw down the sideline to Allen down the sideline. Again, for him, just us understanding where he's at and just trying to get going. So today we come out and we don't score. We have a nice drive, but we don't score there at the end. They brought some heat and we took a sack, and so I think that's a learning period for him. But we can improve. But I'm happy with where he's at, and I just. Again, there's going to be some growing pains as we do this, and it's not going to happen overnight. So we're going to continue to work together, and continue to just keep pushing forward until this thing clicks.
A little later in the press conference,
here's what I'll tell you about Mitch. Again, we have 2 weeks in a row now where there's been some turnovers, and where he has not flinched at all on the sideline. And that's the best part of this process right now. And a lot of people won't be able to see that because they don't feel it. They just see the numbers in the book after the game. But we're getting better right now. He's getting better. And I'm proud of him and that offense for sticking together when times were tough to do what we had to do to get the win.
And you can't argue with that. The fact of the matter is, and I don't care what the level of competition was, the fact of the matter is they grinded out a victory. They did just enough. And this defense is going to bail them out time and time. And God bless the fact that Ryan Pace traded for Khalil Mack. And God bless the fact that this defense has players that can make big plays and keep them in games. While this quarterback is finding himself. And, hey, he may never find himself. I mean, he could end up being a bust. But he is showing glimpses of being a capable NFL quarterback. He's far from showing anything that he's going to be an elite quarterback. But I'll remind people that Rex Grossman took the Chicago, or played in a Super Bowl for the Chicago Bears. I wouldn't say he took the Chicago Bears to.
No, he did not.
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl, so you can win with these kind of tier 2 quarterbacks.
Right. And again, I don't think neither you or I are calling Trubisky or predicting him to be a tier 2 quarterback. We're just saying that right now he's not a tier 1 or tier 2 quarterback right now.
Right.
But the one thing I have an issue with Nagy's play calling today. Now, early on in the game, it was quite evident that their game plan was to come out and dictate to the defense of the Cardinals by running the ball down their throats. And I liked it. I loved it because they were gaining some yards. They were moving the ball. They weren't scoring that much, but they're mixing it in the run with the pass, setting up their passing downfield with some good runs. Now they fell back 14-0, and I feel like Nagy got a little flustered, and all of a sudden he starts throwing the ball and ignoring the running game a little bit there. So I wish if he had kept going with the pounding the ball, even if they're down 14-0. I mean, like we saw here, your defense is good enough to stop them at 14-0. You don't have to worry about that anymore, and just keep chugging away, chipping away that lead. So he started off running, then he starts throwing, and then again towards the third quarter he starts running again. So Jordan Howard ended up with 24 carries today, only 61 yards, but it was 24 carries that really dictated the Bears' dominance up front against the Arizona Cardinals defensive line. So Kyle Long again, I got to go back and take a look at tape, but from what I remember, he had another pretty good game today, clearing paths, leading the way, pulling and whatnot. Also in pass protection as well. So Eric Kush got a couple penalties that drew a lot of the Bears fans' ire here in the stands. But I think overall, I think the offensive line came out, and you saw them, dictating tempo, getting push up front, and really allowing Jordan Howard to be effective running the ball. And I feel like Nagy went away from that once the Bears went down 14-0, and I think that kind of contributed to some of the Bears' offensive issues in this second to beginning of part of the third quarter. I mean, you could just see a good sign of how much, I want to say, lack of confidence he had in the offense, Nagy or Trubisky, if you will, I believe the Bears got the ball back before the end of the first half with 30-some seconds left in the game and 3 timeouts, and he didn't try to attack downfield at all. He just wanted to get off the field and recoup for the half and get the ball, opening the third quarter. So that right there tells me he had no confidence in the offense when he went that route.
Who did? I mean, come on. I tweeted out, just sit on the ball, man, and regroup at the half. Now, one of the things that I was disappointed at was the fact that it took them so long to adjust to this outside blitz that the Cardinals were sending in, defensive backs, and it took them a while. This is what Trubisky said about that.
Yeah, it's going well. They got us a couple times. We also picked some up. So teams are going to blitz, and they're going to continue to test us. So we just got to have a great blitz plan each week, and it's going to be different throughout the game. So I think we made good adjustments throughout the game. Myself and the O-line just IDing what we want, and they did a great job protecting me and giving us chances in the second half. And just got to get it to our playmakers and O-line. We got better. We got better in some areas, but teams are going to continue to test us in the blitz game. So we just got to keep improving.
How exciting is it for you?
I agree with Mitch that they did get better, but don't you feel, Danny, that it took them a while to correct for those outside blitzes?
Yeah, that's all got to be something that Mitch is going to have to be able to recognize, pre-snap. If he knows or if he sees something, if he reads a defense and he thinks they're going to blitz, he's going to have to align the protection scheme to be able to go ahead and account for that blitzing guy off the edge. So, whether he has we've gone back and forth, whether he has the authority to audible out of place. Some place he has the authority to do that, some place he doesn't. So, we don't know how much authority he can do after he's called a play in the huddle. But, it took him, like you said, a half to adjust to that. And, second half, they did a much better job of picking up those outside edge blitzes.
Mitch said something at the end of this press conference that I think is really valuable for all of us Chicago Bears fans to listen to. He used a word that I love to use myself for moments in life that are stepping stones, that are moments that we go from one stage in our life to another. And that word is breakthrough. He talked about that he's looking and waiting and working towards a breakthrough when he starts to get this offense and work on this offense. Listen to how he says it. I think this is a pretty impressive soundbite and gave me a little bit of hope in Mitch Trubisky when I heard it.
Yeah, it feels close. It feels close. We're right there, and the great thing about it is we find ways to get W's as a team, and we know we're not even close to where we want to be on offense. So I'm really tough on myself, and I know I can play a lot better. And Coach Nagy just keeps telling me to trust the process. We're growing together, him as a play caller and a head coach, and me in my second year and first year in this offense. So you want immediate results, but he says it's so hard just to get W's in this league. And if we could just keep stacking them and continue to keep getting better, he said the offense will have breakthrough points. So I believe in Coach all the way. So whatever he says, I'm going to do and just continue to work my tail off and whatever I got to do for him in this offense to get that breakthrough point and really see this offense to go to a whole new level and really start to take off from there. So I was just going to keep getting better and enjoy this and take pressure off myself and enjoy this.
All right, thanks.
Hard 4803 says Mahomes has found the breakthrough, and yes, he has. And those are two totally different quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know if you saw the highlights from today's Kansas City game. Danny, but just Mahomes just again was electric. He's running away from the pass rush and just throwing on the run and hitting guys on the numbers. It was pretty impressive. I think Trubisky could eventually get there, maybe not quite at that Mahomes level, because I think Mahomes is a really special player. But getting back to our guy, Trubisky, I do believe that we need to not, I was a little disturbed by some of the Twitter comments I saw from people I respect a lot who were just throwing Trubisky away into the garbage. I don't think we should do that. I think we just need to be patient and root for the guy.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, you cannot do that. You and I have talked about this over and over again, and it takes some time. It takes some quarterbacks a little bit longer than other quarterbacks, but it is a process. And I know it's a term that gets played out a lot. Trust the process. This is going to be a process. Now, I have, pointed out, and I have, marked down all the wrong things that Trubisky does, but I also have tried to be fair to the kid and try and understand what he's going through and the type of pressure he is under. And I also try to point out some of the good things he does. So like we discussed earlier, we're seeing a lot of bad things, no doubt about it. We're seeing a lot of things that are, quite frankly, a lot of the Bears fans that were in the stands around me were also probably saying some of the same things that you were reading on Twitter. I mean, they were just throwing a towel in, saying that he sucks, they're talking about, putting in, the backup and so on and so forth. But it's a kid who doesn't have the college playing experience. It's a kid who is learning his second offense in his second season. Okay, and it's a kid it's a big offense. It's a lot of plays. It's a lot of terminology. A lot of moving parts. Right. So he is going to struggle. And you and I have talked about this. This offense was going to take some time to gel. Obviously, they're working towards it. What we have to do is, we're going to expect some of the bad things, but we're also going to expect some improvement, right? So we're going to see, like today we saw some nice plays in the pocket, some nice throws in the pocket. We pointed out earlier, the one to Robinson, the one to Trey Burton, a couple other throws he made, but also saw some bad ones. We saw some overthrows. We saw some missed opportunities out there, right? Wide open receivers not getting the ball because he wasn't seeing them in time. That play where Taylor Gabriel almost got decapitated. He was wide open out of his stem, but Trubisky threw the ball way too far and high for him. Mm-hmm. And then what happened was, Trey Boston came in and lowered his shoulder, and then that drew an unsportsmanlike penalty, and that continued the drive going. But if he hits him in stride, that's a big gainer, and Taylor Gabriel doesn't have to take that big hit, right? So stuff like that is some of the things where, it doesn't necessarily get marked up as a bad thing because the Bears got 15 yards out of the penalty for it, but that was a badly thrown ball that put his receiver in a position where, in jeopardy of getting hurt. And I think Gabriel left the game for a bit there. Might have been, shaken up a little bit. But stuff like that he can't do. There was a play down the sidelines where Gabriel had a step on his guy. He had over-the-top leverage, and he just overthrew him. It doesn't feel like he has a consistent feel for the deep ball now, which is really, really rare because the last year when we saw him throw up a nice deep ball. We saw him throw some nice accurate passes within the pocket. It just seems now this year he's kind of regressed a little bit in some areas, and then some days he'll make some great throws, and you were like, oh, okay, there it is. I remember that. He can do this. So we just got to be patient, and it's hard to tell Bears fans to be patient, especially since we've gone through this quarterback carousel. Seems like forever right now, yeah. And we're just wanting, they want him to be good, they want him to succeed, but yet it's just hard to see him make those mistakes over and over again, and we're like, is this ever going to happen? Is it ever going to happen? And then you see guys in the same draft class doing well, and then that just adds to all of the, the pressure and all the other, Twitter stuff that comes out about the kid. So we're not saying he's going to be an All-Pro. I agree with you, but we're not saying he's a bust either. Let's just, ride it out. Have faith in the coaching staff that they're going to bring the best out of him. Toward the tail end of the season, this is week 8, week 9, week 10, and we're still talking about the same thing. We're still talking about him missing wide open receivers, him not being able to feel the pocket, feel the pressure inside the pocket, go through his full progression. Then we have something to be concerned about.
Yep, I agree. Now, you talk about being patient, and you also talked about Matt Nagy's play calling that you were unhappy with. the biggest thing that I was unhappy with was Matt Nagy.
Can I guess?
I know you know what I'm going to say.
Wait, was it a play call, or was it an actual?
No, it was his use of the timeouts.
Oh, yes. That was another one.
John
Yes.
Foxian, how he utilized his timeouts. And you said earlier about being patient with Trubisky. Apparently, we're going to have to be patient with Matt Nagy. This is what he said in the press conference about when he was asked about those timeouts. He was clearly flustered, and then he kind of caught himself and said, yeah, I kind of screwed up. Listen to this.
Yeah, so the one was I think one of them was a personnel deal with which half were you talking about?
There was one in the first half and one in the second.
Yeah, there was a couple. There were some of them was a personnel deal. I forget if it was with 17 or not. But there's just times where we want to make sure that we're making the right decision. I'm growing right now with decision making, right? So, this isn't just about our offense or just about 10. This is about me growing too. So we get into these situations. Do you go for it? You're at the 1 yard line. Do you kick the field goal? Do you get the points? So we kind of went back and forth there. And so these are all situations for me. I'm learning as I go.
That was my daughter calling during the interview, asking for money for the wedding. Anyway, but that was just a to me a revealing moment that, again, and he's been vulnerable since the very first day when he was hired as head coach, and he talked about the fact that he had to get kind of used to being a head coach and all the growing pains that he was going to get through, and then he became vulnerable again today. He owned the fact that he kind of screwed up those timeouts, and it's interesting because I like this guy a lot more than Fox, who would have hid the fact that he made mistakes. In fact, do you remember last year, John Fox hiding the fact that, he made some goofy mistakes? I don't remember the particulars right now, but Fox was just lying up there time and time again, and Nagy would not do that. He would not insult the Chicago Bears fans.
Yeah, it's the one thing, and that's the curious. I was thinking, why is he calling it time? Well, the first half was, when they were down 14-0, and I think they were obviously in the goal line, and they were going to go for it on fourth down, and then he calls a timeout, and they kick a field goal. So that's one particular, curious one. And then the two early ones in the third quarter, or I believe it was early third and late third, I believe those two timeouts where it just looked like indecision, like he didn't know what he was going to do, and then like you said right now, the personnel, it was wrong personnel there. I think that's when Anthony Miller might have got injured, and so that's why he mentioned 17. So he wanted to put someone in there for Anthony Miller. So. That was alarming. But what got me even more, he still gets cute on 3rd and 1. It was a 3rd and 1 play. They were in the Arizona Cardinals territory. And instead of just handing the ball to your bell cow running back, let him get the 1 yard, move the chains, he does that little screen shovel pass to Allen Robinson. Now, Robinson got the first down. But why get cute? Just hand the ball off to your running back. Let him go up the backside of your offensive line that were, again, moving men at the line, at the point of contact. You were making headway there. You're gaining, all you needed was 1 yard. It might even been less than 1 yard at that point. But it just gets too cute in these 3rd and 1 situations. It's very important that with an offense that's struggling, you got to continue to move the chains. You don't want to, get cute and lose 2-3 yards on a 3rd and 1. You know what I'm saying? That play was like, come on, stop doing this. Just hand the ball off. Get the first down, even do a quarterback sneak if you want to. Just don't get cute on 3rd and 1. That drives me crazy.
I am going to do something here that we have not done ever in the history of Bears on Tap. I am going to call in one of our barflies, Brandon Janoski. He was at the game today. He was at that very same stadium that you were at, and I'm going to dial him up. In the meantime, while I do this, we're live on the radio, and I am trying to make a phone call. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
You want me to sing? I don't sing, so I don't know what you're going to do.
Give me a player of the game, offense and defense, while I call Brandon.
Player of the game. Well, defensively, man, it's for me, it's Khalil Mack. I mean, the guy again. I mean, I think we can pick Khalil Mack for every game as far as defensive player of the game. And the guy does so much, even when he's not, directly involved in the play, he is having an effect on the rest of the defensive linemen. So, Mac, again, we mentioned earlier, 5 solo tackles, 2 sacks, a tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hits, forced fumble. I mean, God, that guy's just doing it all. Really, there was nothing much going on, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Jordan Howard. He ran hard, only had 61 carries, but he did get that touchdown. He had 24 carries, and he had a couple of pass receptions. Once again, caught the ball nice and cleanly. Going to give it to Jordan Howard there for my offensive player of the game.
I like those 2 choices.
Aldo Gandia.
Listen, Brandy Janowski is with us. What's happening, brother?
What is going on, guys?
Welcome to Bears on Tap. Say hi to Danny Shimon.
Danny, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Brendan? Heard you at the game today.
I was like 453, nosebleeds. We were rowdy up there. But,
yeah, I was in 113, and they were just as rowdy. Just as rowdy.
It was wild. It felt like a home game compared to being a Soldier Field. It was very similar.
And Brendan, I mean, I'm curious what you think, but I think the noise in this stadium, it just carries. It really gets loud. Even though I felt like the Bears fans outnumbered possibly the Cardinals fans today, but those Cardinals fans in the beginning of that game, they were pretty loud. I mean, they're getting ruckus. So now I don't know if they're piping in noise like the Atlanta Falcons are known to do, but it was pretty darn loud in that stadium, considering when it was the Cardinals fans making all the noise. But then towards the end, when the Bears defense started waving to the fans, and all of a sudden the Bears fans got up on their feet and started the chance of "Let's go Bears" started, and all the defensive players were waving their hands and the towels. I mean, that got really, really loud in there as well. So it was a pretty impressive atmosphere to be in today.
I thought so. I think it was really like you said at the end, you saw Danny Trevathan, and then Mac put his hands up, and everybody lost it. Really wanted to get into it, and I think third downs were just huge on both sides of the ball. Like you said, the Cardinals fans got crazy loud, but the Bears we came with it. I mean, you saw a lot of praise from Bears players talking about the presence of the fans tonight. So that's always good to see. Gotta love that when we felt it, but they felt it too. So that's good.
Yeah, when you see the players actually waving to the fans like at a home game, expecting getting the fans to get up. It's wow. And then one thing the Cardinals fans here have, apparently it's a tradition and whatnot, is they all get up in third down. So, we're all sitting here like sit down. We're everybody's just get up. Apparently it's rise up is what they do here. So, so that's every third down, Bears or Cardinals, everyone was on their feet standing up, the whole stadium.
Yeah. The Red Sea, I'd say, it's an underrated fan base as far as when you're there live in person. I don't feel like you get that same effect ever watching them on TV. Right. But it live is crazy.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the fan base, the Cardinals fan base. I had tipped to them because they brought it today. They were giving the Bears fans a good ride for their money early on. Bears fans came in a little overconfident. I think looking at that point spread, that Vegas point spread, we're feeling a little good about ourselves. With a puff in the chest a little bit, but. Arizona got to that big lead, and the Cardinal fans, they were ready for us, man. They started giving it to us, but then, towards the end, we all know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad they pulled it out. I think overconfident, like you said, us as Bears fans, I think the defense came out the same way. It was, we got this. It's not going to be a big deal. We're going to run all over these guys, and then almost back-to-back touchdowns on the first couple drives, and it's it's 14-0. It's serious now.
Right. Yeah, they came off flat, and we touched on it earlier in the show. They came off flat early on, and maybe reading a little bit too much of their press clippings as well. So, but then, like I said, they hunkered down and pitched a shutout the rest of the game. So,
yeah, give nothing else. It kind of reminded me, do you remember Week 1 when I hate to bring up Rodgers because you know how much I hate that guy, but Rodgers told his team at the half, you don't give up any points or you don't let them score, we're going to win this game. And I hope that was kind of the same message we went in at halftime, hey, defense, if you hold us up, we're going to get you back, and they did. So,
well, Eddie Jackson, Aldo played a press clip from Eddie Jackson after the game, post-game, and he goes that, basically Khalil Mack gathered the group on the sideline and said, hey, right, that's enough. Let's wake up here, let's get going. And, like I told Aldo, it's not only is he a dominant, imposing force on the field, but he's quietly becoming the leader and the man everyone is following on the defensive side of the ball. off the field too. He's probably become that leader of that team.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised that we didn't see him as a captain today. I'm kind of waiting on that. I don't know if it's like
it's a rotating.
He's too new to the team, or you know what I mean. But
he rotates captains every week, which I never really got. But hey, I guess other teams do it as well. But yeah, so every week, I don't know if he picks them or if the team picks them, but they rotate captains every week apparently.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing for us to get inside and find out. I'm sure we could find that out this week and see who picks them and why. I do kind of like it. You know, you saw the game changer. You saw Prince out there as a captain after making the big play last week. So I like that.
Brandon, from those seats way up high, could you see enough of what was going on to give us a player of the game on the offense and defense? Now, Danny picked Khalil Mack on the defense and Jordan Howard on the offense. So if you can kind of volunteer somebody else, maybe your second best, if those guys were your players of the game, give us a couple of players that you want to salute.
You know what? I think Allen Robinson, just getting open constantly, creating space, and even, you know, struggling all game and being upset about, you know, getting missed on plays, getting overthrown. He catches that big one downfield, gets up. He's pumped up, excited. That's the kind of stuff you want to see from your guys. Gets you going. I love that. So I'd go Allen Robinson. On the offensive side, outside of Jordan Howard, everybody loves Jordan Howard. And then defense, I think we kind of talked about this, you know, right in Bar's room. Eddie Goldman, this guy is no joke. I mean, just blowing people up at the line, getting Hicks around, getting Mack around. He makes a huge impact. You got to love that. That's me on defense. Those
are two excellent names, because I feel the same way. While I'm watching this game, I'm saying to myself, Allen Robinson is a great addition to this team, and I was a little bit nervous because of the ACL and so forth, but it is clear that this guy still has it and that he's going to continue to get better as the season goes on. And then as for Eddie Goldman, my goodness, was he disruptive and had a presence on that defensive line that is so often overlooked because he plays that nose tackle position, and because of all the fury that goes on there in the middle of the line of scrimmage, he gets lost. Those are two excellent names.
Yeah, with Goldman, one thing about Goldman is he only was credited with 4 tackles, 2 solo, but what he does is he eats up blockers. I mean, he allows Roquan and Trevathan to go ahead and flow to the ball carrier. So that's a lot of things that stats don't capture, but that's something that rock in the middle, the guy who can take up those multiple blockers, is key to a 3-4 defense. So yeah, that's a good call. And he had a couple of plays where he basically by himself clogged up the middle of the running lanes. So Johnson had to bounce the run up to the outside, right into the hands of the either Mack or Floyd a couple times, or linebackers that are coming downhill. So yeah, Goldman's a good call there. And another thing about Allen Robinson, a key play that probably will go unnoticed was, I believe it was in the first half. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a deep down the sideline, and the ball looked like it could have been intercepted, but he went up and actually played defensive back and was able to knock the ball away from the defender, and it went as incompletion. But It was a play. If he doesn't put that extra effort to make sure the defender doesn't catch the ball, that could be another interception. So that's a key play that probably doesn't go noticed, but that was a key play to the game.
Yeah, Mitch threw it. That's one of the ones that I see Mitch. He's got to throw that outside of the sideline where only a Robinson can come up with it. He threw it short and outside.
And inside, yeah, more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you saw Robinson go over the top of the defender to make sure, and he almost came up with the ball when he hit the ground.
He almost made a great play, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I totally agree with that. You're 100% correct. And that's just one of those ones that you're like, you saw the arm strength of Trubisky in college out of North Carolina, and you saw him throwing so accurate even last year at times, right? And it's not that he's not accurate short throws most of the time, but he's just
often deep throws
in weird places.
Yeah, he had one of the he had a pretty deep ball in college. Even last year we saw him, preseason and also in the regular season, throw some nice deep ball with touch and be able to lead the receiver who has the over the top outside leverage to lead him away from the defender. And this year it's just his downfield accuracy is just hit or miss, and unfortunately most of the time it's been misses.
Yeah, and it's bad misses, and it's stuff that as an NFL quarterback, you got to know that you can't make those throws, and you got to put them up and away. And it gets frustrating for me. I'm a big Mitch Trubisky guy. I love the guy, his one season of college. I thought he was great, and I thought it was a little bit of a gamble, but I was glad that we got him once we got him. I think all of us were a little upset when we drafted him because we had Deshaun Watson, we had to trade picks that we could have got. But once he got settled in, I was like, I'm glad that this is our quarterback. And now I just want to see it click. And us in Chicago fan base, we're so impatient. Mm-hmm. I get a little fired up. Like I said, watching him live tonight, he pissed me off a couple times, and it's hard to watch until he gets it. I just want to see it click, and we all want to see it happen sooner than later.
Right. And Alden and I discussed earlier, we're like, but we see those glimpses, right? We see that throw to Allen Robinson for 39 yards on the sideline that he hit him in stride perfectly. We saw the one to Trey Burton where he stepped up in the pocket, hitched and threw a bullet to the sideline for a big gainer. We see glimpses like that. We see him extend a play, get away from a would-be a sack or tackle and extend and get a first down with his feet. Stuff like that to get you excited. You see the potential. Now it's just getting it all together and making it into a complete package. And that's the one thing where, Alden and I every week are sitting here and saying, hey, he did this, he did that bad, he did this bad, and, his progression and his pocket presence. But just if we see those glimpses and we see him getting better week in, week in, week out, that's the key here. If we see him degressing as season goes on, then we got issues.
Right. And I think, like, you nailed it, exactly what I was thinking. It's these things that he just gives us a little bit of hope every once in a while where he does something crazy, like that back shoulder throw when he did the Russell Wilson-esque, right, where he spun the wrong way, and you're like, what are you doing? And then he makes that throw to Cohen last week, and you're like, damn, that's
special.
Stuff that he can do. Yeah. Right. And then you see him throw into triple coverage late.
Exactly.
And you're like, what? Like, who are you? You know what I mean? Right. I want to see who Mitch is. Is he the real deal? Can he do this or not? And we all know that he has potential. He's athletic. These one reads, though, right? I have a buddy who's a big Steelers fan, and he told me he's like Michael Vick. He's a one read and drop his eyes and run. And he's got to get that second read down because he has enough time.
Right. It's a progression, right? So he goes to his first read and then go to his second and third read. It just seems to me that he's just slow from going from 1 to 2. Like that play with Allen Robinson, that was, I believe, was on the 18-yard line in Cardinals territory. Robinson was open. I mean, we saw from my seats, my point of view. We might have seen it as well, but Robinson was open in the middle on a curl route right there in the middle, and it took Mitch a tad second too late to see him. So what he does is now he's rolling to his right, throws back, crosses body into the middle of the field. That allows Trey Boston to go ahead and jump the route and almost pick off the ball. That would have been a huge turnover there, but luckily he dropped it and it goes into completion. But stuff like that he can't do. Or if he's gonna have to see that pre-snap and anticipate, that route being open, dictated by the coverage that the opposing team's defense is in. So it's stuff like that we kind of want it to come quickly, but it doesn't appear to be coming quickly for him right now. So
yeah, he's got the tools, man. He's got everything he needs to have. He's
got the athleticism. He's got the arm strength. It's just now it's that mental process. I call it a mental process where he goes through and he speeds up his play clock. He can recognize pressure. Or he feels pressure, around him from the pocket. Knows when to, escape, when to step up, so on and so forth, and when to progress from 1, 2, or 3, options in the pattern. So it's stuff like that. He's got to have to pick that up and learn. And hopefully that comes with experience.
You guys have been very, very entertaining. I'm glad both of you guys were at the game. I'm sorry you guys didn't get a chance to meet each other, but maybe next time you're at the same game together.
Yeah, for sure. I met Bobby earlier today.
Bobby Bombs.
At the game. Yep.
I did see Bobby. I went and talked to him. I'll be in San Francisco for the Niners game.
Are you coming to Chicago at all?
I'm going to try and do the Chicago and Packers game at Soldier Field.
I will be
Bears will be there too.
On my list.
Bears Girl will be there. I will be there. So let's plan on getting together. Hey, Brandon, we don't normally do this on Bears on Tap, but we're going to make an exception for you. Do you want to do a shout out for anybody?
Shout out. Let's see. Barflies.
Barflies, family member, anybody?
Let's see. I told my buddies Zach and Rob I would be on tonight, and they're tuning in, so I appreciate them.
Awesome.
I guess, you got to be a good guy. Shout the girlfriend out, Julia.
Julia!
And then my boss. You guys are awesome. Bobby, can't say enough. Everybody, BG, Aldo, let's see, Steve Boleyn, Michael Sheevel, Jessica Martinez, Aaron, AA, Heidi Zimmerman. You gotta love Zimmerman. I don't know, there's a ton. Texas Bears was actually really cool on Twitter tonight. I enjoyed his exchange. Yeah.
Great job, Brandon. You're a natural at this, man.
Yeah. I like the getting the girlfriend in. That's smart move right there.
Very, very smart. Next time I can't make a show, I'm going to call you up so you can host. Okay, Brandon?
You got it.
All
Talk
right.
to you later.
Take care, Brandon. Hey,
good talking to you, man.
You too. Been a pleasure.
Danny,
Thank
any
you.
final thoughts?
No, man.
Final thought. Yeah,
Go ahead, Brendan.
I don't know. I just want to see Mitch turn it on. I want to see him turn it on next week. I think we should beat the Buccaneers. I think their defense is awful. I think their offense is going to come back down to earth. We'll see what they do tomorrow night, but should get another win here going into the bye week and then come back and destroy the Dolphins. Little revenge game with the Adam Gase.
There you go. There you go. Well done, Brandon. Danny, any final thoughts?
Basically, like Brendan just said, just got to, continue this momentum. Buccaneers come into next week. I think they'll be 3-0 because I think they'll beat the Steelers tomorrow night. And if they are, that sets up a big early season NFC showdown with the Bears versus the Bucs. So I think they can beat the Bucs. I think offensively, obviously, the Bears need to play better because if you're going to keep pace with that offense, if they continue to do what they've been able to do so far this season, and then we don't know the status of Prince Amukamara. Is he going to be out in an extended period of time? So what we need, we need to go to our third corner back there. And of course, going up against the Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson and, Godwin on Tampa Bay. So that's going to be quite a big challenge, not to mention their tight end, O.J. Howard. So, they're going to pose an issue offensively for our defense. So I think the Bears offensively need to step up and attack their defense to be able to, keep pace, if you will, in order to hopefully win this game. But, it's a game that they can win. They'll be at home, so I think they might be a favorite. So it should be another exciting game. If you go 3-1 into the bye, you got feeling good. You're on a roll, and next thing you know, like I said, this game is all about momentum. If you get that momentum going in your favor, you can stack some wins together. Next thing you know, you're a very confident team with a very, very effective and scary defense. Hopefully, an improving offense. Next thing you know, sky's the limit. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I think they have a good shot of going 3-1 into the bye, and then from there we'll go and see what happens.
I'm with you. My biggest thing is I want Matt Nagy to show a greater presence on the sidelines next week. I don't want this whole timeout situation. I'm growing. I got to figure it out. I need to take a timeout to make a decision on whether we should kick it or go for it on fourth down. No. That should be something that you should be bringing to the table. Let's remember that this guy has a collection of assistant coaches, including the guy that used to be the head coach of the Vikings. Why am I forgetting his name?
Brad Childress.
Brad Childress.
Hey, actually, he's no longer with them. Although he was just there for training camp. He's now off to coach the AFL league. I think Atlanta team. Yeah.
My bad. But it's still no excuse. Matt Nagy needs to be more affirmative, more let's make decisions here and show those leadership traits that we need. I know that tomorrow on Bears Hour Live, Draft Dr. Phil is going to go off on on Matt Nagy. He just feels that he did a tremendously poor job in calling this game, and he is going to just go off on him. It's going to be must listen to radio. That's tomorrow night, Bears Hour Live, and his guest is going to be Corey Wooten, former Chicago Bears defensive lineman, who is now an analyst at NBC Sports Chicago. So that's must listen to. On Tuesday, Phil, myself, and Shane Marceau are going to get together to talk about the Chicago Bears game, and we're going to have our usual features and bust balls and so forth and get people angry at us. That's what we do that really well. And then on Wednesday, it's Buffon 55, Bears Girl and Buffon 55. They've got a guest to preview the next upcoming opponent of the Bears. They do a great job of breaking that down. On Thursday, the Fantasy Football Goon Show. On Friday, it's Mike North Advantage. So we've got a full slate of games, and then over the weekend we will have, of course, the Barfly Tailgate Show. So we've got a ton of stuff going on, and also some huge news that I'm going to be sending out Twitter billboards so that everybody knows. Draft Dr. Phil is going to be in Chicago next week, and we're going to have opportunities for you to come out and meet him and greet him and smack him around and pat him on the back. Do whatever you want to Draft Dr. Phil.
Chicago, hide the women and children. That's Phil's coming to town.
That's right.
He is who we thought he was.
Greg Braggs has invited us to a Cubs game, so he's bringing Phil and myself to a Cubs game on Friday. Later that night, we're going to go over to Bill's Burgers on that AA Ron manages that joint up in downtown Chicago. We'll have the full schedule of where you can come out and hopefully meet and greet Draft Dr. Phil. It will be a blast, and it's just part of the cool stuff that we do here at Bears Barroom. Guys, you guys were fantastic, and guess what? We are going to finish this show by telling everybody or reminding everybody that the Chicago Bears are in first place. Can you believe it, Danny? Can you believe
it? First place.
Brandon, can you believe this? First place.
I believe it. I believe the hype. I think it's weird.
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody, remember, if you drink, please do not drive, and always bear down.
Hey, been a pleasure, guys.
Take care, brother.